hours Saudi
Arabian Grand
Prix F1
driver ratings.
Right, let's get into the first driver, which is Gabriel Bortoleto. Started the race in 20th, finished 18th. I'm going to lock in a 4 out of 10 for Gabriel Bortoleto. Slightly worse than perhaps the solid 5s that we tend to give Sauber. One, because he qualified last and finished the race last of the finishers, but also nearly sent his manager, Fernando Alonso, into the shadow realm, and he got very, very lucky that he didn't do that by only a few centimetres. Can't really downgrade him too much about a near incident, but I still think he's deserving of a 4 out of 10. I think he himself said after the race that kind of just needs a break to sort of reset and go again. So 4 out of 10 from me.
I've also gone for a 4 out of 10 for Bortoleto. Qualified last. Of course, it's a terrible car. And of course, had that weird problem, didn't he, in practice where he just kind of did no running. So probably put him on the back foot a bit. But the reason it's a 4, like you say, is because of that very near miss that I think him drifting over a few more centimetres and him wiping out essentially his manager would have been quite a massive story. Thankfully, he avoided it. And kind of a disappointing weekend really for Bortoleto.
The fans gave him a 4 as well. Nico Hulkenberg started the race in 18th, finished 15th.
I've gone for a 5 out of 10 for Nico Hulkenberg. After that bizarre start to the season when Nico Hulkenberg had that points finish and then that really strong points finish, of course, in Australia, and then a difficult race in China, kind of back to straight down the middle where he's kind of just performing where that car about is. I don't think the Sauber is as bad as last year. It can at least fight it in the mix of the midfield, but nothing particularly special from Hulkenberg, so I've gone for a 5.
I've gone for a 6 out of 10 because I am this year trying to give the worst car on the grid anything more than a 5 when I see even an inkling of performance. And Hulkenberg chefed his teammate by 15 seconds. So can I really give him only 1 grade higher? He also didn't qualify last, started 18th, finishing 15th ahead of Stroll and Doohan. But yeah, he was just hoping, wasn't he, for some kind of chaos around this track after pitting right at the beginning. But it just didn't work. Did not work at all. Let's move on now to Alex Albon. Started the race in 11th, finished 9th. It's going to be an 8 out of 10 for Alex Albon this weekend. Having to constantly remind myself that the Williams scoring points is not a 10 out of 10 stone cold perfect
They're
performance
not 2021
this year.
anymore.
No, not in 2025, that's for sure. Still a very good weekend for Albon, just narrowly missing out on Q3 and then scoring a couple of points. I feel like he was helped by Sainz at the end of that race. As much as Sainz believed that he could drive away, I think he could from Hadjar. I'm not sure about Albon, as demonstrated by the final lap. See you later by Carlos Sainz, where he left Alex for dust to just showcase how much more pace Carlos had in the car. But still, Alex finishing 9th is a great result.
Yeah, I've gone for an 8 out of 10 as well. Good performance from Alex Albon. Continued his great season. It's only 1 race that he's not scored points in. And yeah, he disappointed in qualifying, I think, compared to his teammate, but made back for it in the race and was on the back of him at the end, mainly thanks to that brilliant bit of teamwork from Williams for him to hold on to 9th place. A good performance from Albon again.
The fans gave Alex Albon an 8, and if I forgot to say, Hulkenberg got a 5 from all of you lot, which I think I might have forgotten to say. Carlos Sainz started the race in 6th, finished 8th.
I've gone for a 9 out of 10 for Carlos Sainz. Absolutely brilliant qualifying to be P6, and of course finishing best of the rest behind the top teams. The reason it's not a 10 is I feel like I need to save a 10 for those performances where they do get in the mix there and but that's not to take anything away from him. It's still a brilliant drive from Carlos, and this is the Carlos we were expecting right from the start of the season. So fingers crossed this continues, and we see this at more often now at regular races.
My grade for Carlos Sainz is also a 9 out of 10. It's quite sad to see that, you know, when all of the drivers, obviously bar Tsunoda, finish, they are 25 seconds clear, like the back, i.e. Hamilton in 7th to then Carlos Sainz in 8th. There is still a rather large chasm between the top 4 teams and the rest. But yeah, it's one of those 9 out of 10 performances from Carlos, which was just brilliant. Perhaps may well have been a 10 if he'd been let off the leash in that final stint to see just how much further he would have got ahead of Albon, but I'm not sure there was a huge amount more in the car. The fans gave Carlos a 9 as well. Isack Hadjar started the race in 14th, finished 10th. I've gone for an 8 out of 10 for Hadjar. A kind of what could have been, really, I think. I think he drove a brilliant race, but just put himself on the back foot after qualifying. Had he finished 8th, which was very possible, then we'd be talking potentially in the 9s, perhaps even a 10 for being a rookie and performing as well as he did. But it's still a really promising performance from Hadjar to start behind his teammate Lawson and to finish ahead of him on the road. Hadjar, I genuinely thought I was confident that potentially if we were going to have a flop from Hadjar, it'd be around a track like this. But yeah, he wasn't intimidated by a track like this, and that bodes really well for him, I think, for the rest of the season.
I have gone for a 9 for Isack Hadjar. I think it's a great performance from a rookie to grab points. The V-carb isn't as good as it was at the start of the season. Yes, he left some on the table in qualifying. I think it's not his fault that the Williams played an absolute blinding strategy. That's on Williams being very impressive. Because without it, who knows? He could have maybe even challenged Sainz because he looked very quick. But DRS trains are DRS trains. But it's still a great result from Hadjar to get points.
The fans gave Hadjar an 8. Liam Lawson started the race in 12th, finished 12th.
I've gone for a 7 out of 10 for Liam Lawson. I think it was a much more respectable performance from him to qualify ahead of his teammate, which you would. I know he's not been in that car all year, but more experienced driver, even though he's not had many races, but obviously more than Hadjar. And of course, if you've seen the social media clip that we shared, we had that disagreement over the penalty. 10 seconds, of course, is harsh for what it is. It should have been a penalty, and I still go back to, I'm still adamant that they could just tell people to swap positions. I still think that you have to complete. I'm not changing my mind on that. You have to complete an overtake into a corner, and if you go off and you kind of fly into a corner with your DRS open and miss the brakes and go off, you've not completed the overtake. But better from Lawson after what's been such a poor season. This is more kind of what we expected, and maybe this is the part where he gets his confidence back.
I have gone for a 7 out of 10 for Lawson as well. I can't give a difference of 2 grades between the two drivers. Never seen a lack of wheel knowledge displayed like this ever since we've worked together, Tommy. But of course, we disagree on the
a rookie
delivering
that got
of the
points
penalty.
and one that didn't.
Oh, what's that?
A rookie that got points.
Are we forgetting that Lawson has not completed a full season as a Formula One driver? This guy is not Fernando Alonso. Lawson, you could argue, has less experience in this current car than Hadjar. So that's why I'm not really saying, as much as he has more experience as a driver, the actual relative experience.
It's because you don't think he made a mistake. That's why with the
racing balls. There's plenty of reasons. But Lawson, I don't think he deserved the penalty for that. I think it was a track limits violation. The move was done. Yes, he outbraked himself. But anyway, he would have finished just over 1 second behind his teammate on the road, which I think was a great job. So it's a 7 from me. The fans gave him a 6.
No, that's harsh.
That is harsh. They definitely looked at the race result and forgot about the really unfair 10-second penalty. Okay, Ollie Bearman started the race in 15th, finished 13th. I've gone for a 6 out of 10 for Ollie Bearman. Not a weekend I was hoping for him, considering I good surprised him, and he'd had a great performance last year in the Ferrari. and it just did not work out, really. The Haas were underwhelming in qualifying, but also underwhelming in the race as well, which was sad to see, and just really shows how much knowledge I have when it comes to good surprising this year. But yeah, it was still a better than middle of the road, I think, for Bearman. He still finished 15 odd seconds ahead of Ocon. I know they were on different strategies, but Ocon was forced into that strategy purely by the fact that he qualified really badly. So, yeah, Bearman 6.
I've gone for a 6 out of 10 for Ollie Bearman as well. The Haas, their pace is very unusual. This year didn't work for them this time. But Bearman to finish ahead of his teammate by quite a long way. I know Ocon had a unusual strategy, tried something a bit different and gambled, but for Ollie Bearman as the rookie to finish 20 seconds ahead is still impressive, but maybe not the race we thought he might have, based on his heroics last year of his super sub performance.
Super sub indeed. The fans gave him a 5. Not happy at all. Esteban Ocon started the race in 19th, finished 14th.
I have gone for a 5 out of 10 for Esteban Ocon. Disappointing weekend. On the watch along, shows why I should not be a strategist, because I was saying that they should have done exactly what they did. And it was maybe worth a gamble that, of course, they kind of pitted early for the hard tyres and thought, can we go to the end? But it didn't work out. And even though he was running quite high up, he was just kind of dropping, wasn't he? Like a stone through the field as everyone came through on better tyres. But yeah, still 20 seconds behind your teammate. Disappointing for Ocon.
5 out of 10 from me for Ocon. He needs to figure out his qualifying in that car. He really does, because we know how good he's been in the race. We know how good the strategy has been at Haas as well. They just make it so much harder for themselves this season. But I don't really understand why Ocon is so far down in qualifying compared to his teammate. I think he started on the back row twice or 3 times this year, which is pretty mad. So hoping for his sake he can bounce back. But yeah, no such heroics this time, and was very much praying for a safety car that did not come. The fans gave him a 5 as well.
20 seconds behind his rookie teammate with the same grade. That's an interesting one.
I gave Ollie Bearman a 6.
No, the fans.
Oh, but then you're slandering me as well, because I gave him a 5.
Yeah, but Ollie Bearman we gave a 6.
Oh, I see.
The fans gave him the same grade. Yeah.
Oh,
the fans gave him the same grade.
A little bit ferocious today, guys. I'm really sorry about that one. But yes, giving the same grade is wild. So maybe it was like a 5.9 average.
An average, yeah. It's like averaged out, maybe.
5.1. But either or, no more knowledge detected. Jack Doohan started the race in 17th, finished 17th. Oh, gosh, Jack Doohan, I really want to see you do well, but it is going to be a 3 out of 10. I'm sorry. I've done it. I'm sorry. That feels harsh. Maybe it should be a 4, but it's... That Alpine ain't no bad car now. We saw it with Gasly for half a lap in the race, but also in qualifying and last time out. To be starting 17th, finishing 17th, fighting the Saubers at the end. I think he pips Bortoleto at the line. I'm like, this ain't where the car deserves to be, and I have to give him a representative grade for that. He said it was his one of his most difficult. A combination of things just weren't clicking. The first stint wasn't looking terrible, but then, of course, he was forced onto that strategy, which was worth the gamble. None of the teams, I'm sure, were hoping to go 49 laps on a set of tyres and were thinking maybe there'd be a VSC or something like that. But still, nowhere near even Stroll. He finished like 14 seconds behind Stroll. It's a poor weekend for Jack, sadly.
It sure is. I've gone for a 3 as well. It's definitely a 3. His teammate qualified 9th. The Alpine is a good car. Now it certainly can mix it up in the midfield. So to qualify 17th is very poor. Of course, risked it with a unusual strategy that didn't work out. But yeah, to finish 17th, you're only beating a rookie in a Sauber. A very disappointing weekend for Jack Doohan.
Yes, the fans gave Jack a 4. Pierre Gasly started the race in 9th, did not finish.
How do you grade someone that's done very well in qualifying and then had a racing incident that I do kind of feel like he put himself under risk? I'm going to give him a 6 just because of that qualifying. But you kind of No, I'm not. No, I'm going to give a 5. I'm going to give a 5.
Good. Well done.
It is one of those ones, though, isn't it, where it's difficult because you're judging like the pace he had in the car, and obviously he didn't get to show it. He showed it in qualifying, but yeah, I watch it back. He puts his car in a risky position on lap 1. It's not his fault. It's not enough to get a penalty or penalty points or anything like that, but it's still a risk, and I'm still kind of. It still annoys me that he's essentially been punished there for trying to stay on the track rather than just bailing onto the runoff, and that's kind of his downfall. That he's shamefully decided, I'm going to keep 2 wheels on the racetrack and continue round. And but unfortunately for him, he's got a part to play in that crash. So I've gone for a 5.
I've also gone for a 5 out of 10 for Pierre Gasly. It's hard to grade him much higher for that because we have to obviously take into account that he hasn't done the race, but also similarly to you, Tommy, he's gone for an audacious move. I think if he was maybe 3-4 car lengths, if they were side by side 3-4 car lengths back and then he's sort of nudged ahead, Tsunoda backs out of the corner. But sadly, Gasly sort of gets his nose ahead a little bit too late into then the braking zone and the turn in for that left-hander. And that's where the risk is. And sadly for Gasly, there's nowhere to go. If he goes off the track, he has to give the position back to Yuki. He knows the rules. He knows what's going on there. But yeah, it's not a track, not a corner. Sorry, that you see overtakes that. You just don't. And sadly for Gasly and for Tsunoda, it ended pretty badly. The fans gave Gasly a 5 as well. Lance Stroll started the race in 16th, finished 16th. Give me a 4 out of 10 for Lance Stroll. I mean, it was not as bad as maybe some we've seen this year, but also he is Aston Martin's sole point scorer, which I will keep reminding you every single podcast episode, Tommy, until it changes. But Hulkenberg versus Stroll, battle of the ages for P15. They finished 9/10 apart. It's not an absolutely horrific weekend because then you look, he's finished 25 seconds behind Alonso. That's why it's going to be a 4 because I think Alonso did a pretty decent job. So yeah, I
will go for a 4 because he's qualified poorly again. The Aston Martin for me is a woeful car. Where do you place it? In my opinion, there's probably only the Sauber that's worse, but then it is very close in that midfield battle. Qualified poorly again, which is kind of no surprise. But yeah, now I'm kind of convincing myself that it is a 4 because essentially two of the front runners have gone out the race and he still finished in the same position that and a poor position that he qualified in. I've brought some receipts because I know a lot of people were basically latching onto my comments saying I think Lance Stroll is one of the worst qualifiers in the history of Formula One and saying, but he's got a pole position. 2025 so far, Fernando Alonso is 5-1 up.
What was the one?
It was the sprint in China.
Doesn't really count.
Doesn't count. 2024, again, against a Fernando Alonso in the twilight of his career, 19-5 to Fernando Alonso. 2023, the year the Aston Martin was actually good, 19-3 to Fernando Alonso. 2022, Sebastian Vettel, arguably not at his best. As he was near retirement, Vettel still beat him 13-7. Nico Hulkenberg fancied a go in the Aston Martin when Vettel got COVID, and Stroll still didn't beat him in the head-to-head. It was 1-1. Head-to-head in 2021, it was 14-8 to Vettel. 2020, Perez, 10, Stroll, 4. Nico Hulkenberg also had a couple of races, and it was 1-1. People quick to jump on that Stroll got a pole position and had a pretty good season then. Nico Hulkenberg jumped in the car with no experience and got a P3 at Silverstone. So make of that what you will.
Is that the slander? Are we going all the way back
2019,
to 1997?
Sergio Perez, 17-3 on Stroll. And you're probably thinking at this point, well, he's had very difficult teammates. Sergei Sorokin, as a rookie, 12. Lance Stroll, 8. So he didn't even beat a rookie, Sergei Sorokin. And 2017, 17-2 to Massa.
Okay. Oh, my goodness gracious me. We should rename this podcast to The Slander of Lance Stroll. Okay, brilliant. Right, the fans gave Lance Stroll a 4 as well. Fernando Alonso started the race in 13th, finished 11th.
I've gone for an 8 out of 10, Fernando Alonso. He has finished P11 in a tractor. I think it's the 9th best car on the grid.
Would have been P12 without that stupid penalty.
The deserved penalty for Lawson. Even if you give it a 5-second penalty, he's still finished behind him. And 8 may seem high because he's not got points, but I'm looking at all the cars that's ahead of him, and he shouldn't be ahead of them. And I'm looking at all the cars behind him, and even then, I think the RB is quicker. I think the Haas is probably quicker. He's smashed his teammate. Qualified incredibly well. So there we go.
Okay, wow, the Tommy is really popping off here. I'm split between a 7 and an 8 because I feel like the Fernando Alonso glazing there is crazy. Yeah, go on then, 8 out of 10. Well done, Fernando. It's a very slim 8 out of 10 for Fernando Alonso. He's just crept over the line, but he has done a pretty decent job this weekend. It's more the Fernando Alonso that we want to see. Sadly, no points to bank, but I think it's coming. If Aston do actually give him a car that isn't the 9th fastest, he will score a point or two. 8 out of 10 from me for Fernando. The fans gave him a 7. Kimi Antonelli started the race in 5th, finished 6th. I am going to give Kimi Antonelli a 7 out of 10. It's a reasonable weekend for Kimi. Still lacking pace compared to George Russell. I know he caught him hand over fist towards the end. Russell was, of course, trying to fight for the win or a podium and cooked his tyres, and I think that's more down to his grade that we'll get into as well. But I think 7 perfectly represents what Kimi is performing at right now. He's doing a decent job in a Mercedes. He's doing everything I think is expected of him. It's no headline-worthy stuff, especially this weekend, but it is more than good enough for Mercedes to get excited. So, yeah, I'm going for a 7.
I have gone for an 8 out of 10 for Kimi Antonelli.
Shock.
Shock, because it's correct.
Love Kimi Antonelli.
Yeah, 7 seconds off his very experienced teammate. We've said so many times this weekend that Saudi is an incredibly difficult circuit to go to as a rookie. And, he's there on the back of his teammate. He wasn't quicker than him, of course, but he's the inexperienced one, and bagged more points for Mercedes. Qualified well up in P5. He's delivering this season, I think.
The fans gave Kimi a 7. George Russell started the race in 3rd, finished 5th.
I've gone for an 8 out of 10 for George Russell as well. I don't think the Mercedes was there this weekend, but still got a decent result with a P5. Qualified brilliantly again, but just couldn't look after his tyres in the race. But yeah, it's a decent performance from George again, and it kind of continues that record of always being in the top 5. And yeah, I think definitely one of the drivers of the season this year.
I've gone for a 7 out of 10 for George. Of course, he did finish ahead of his teammate, qualified ahead of his teammate, but factoring in that Kimi is, of course, a rookie there, so I've gone for the same grade for both of them. He himself said after the race that the performance was pretty underwhelming, so it's definitely a 7 out of 10 for me. He finished over, I think, 18 seconds behind Norris in the end, nowhere near the front 4, but it's still solid points. He's still a very small shout for a dark horse for the championship. So, yeah, George, 7 out of 10 from me, and the fans gave him a 7 as well. Yuki Tsunoda started the race in 8th, did not finish. Yuki. It's a 5 out of 10. I'm going to go for exactly the same as Pierre Gasly. It's an unfortunate thing to have happened. Maybe Yuki didn't expect Pierre to try and swing it around the outside, but I can't give him any higher than that. It wasn't like he qualified on the front row. And the most of our grade is based on the race, and he didn't finish, so and not through any massive fault of his own. 5 out of 10.
I've also gone for a 5 out of 10. Disappointing for Yuki because it would have been nice to see where he could have, what he could have done in the race. because although he was a long way behind his teammate in terms of lap time, P8 is, a grid. When you get the second Red Bull seat into single digits, it feels like quite a win these days. So
yeah, there's a lovely gap for him to just finish in 8th.
Exactly.
Hamilton and Sainz, just chill out, get 4 points. Lovely stuff.
Exactly. But alas, it all came undone at the first corner, and a racing incident.
The fans gave him a 5. Max Verstappen started the race in first, finished second.
I have gone for a 9 out of 10 for Max Verstappen. I think maybe he is the victim of his own success here because he's not driving the best car. I think it's a better car this weekend, for sure. Much better than it was in Bahrain. But, he's still got a brilliant pole position, finished 2.8 seconds off the lead and, beating his teammate by nearly a second in qualifying. And this is where I think, maybe he is a victim of his own success. But you're so used to Max delivering that any time the car can deliver a win, he gets that win. And I've got to think that had he made the start legally, whatever you think, based on that kind of turn 1 incident, or just made a better start and led the race, I think he would have won because the dirty air was so poor. He could have pitted, and stayed ahead of Piastri, and we could have looked at something similar to Suzuka.
Well, are we about to disagree? No, we're not. 9 out of 10 for Max Verstappen. I still think it was a brilliant weekend from Max. Yes, there was the turn 1 incident, which we've gone into. It's funny that there's a lot more discussion online than perhaps I or you probably thought there would be, considering who was at fault. Should Max have got a penalty? There's been telemetry flying around and saying that Oscar took more speed into turn 1 than Max did, and all of this sort of stuff that I still, to this very moment, believe Max deserved that penalty. But it's still a 9 out of 10 for Max, because apart from that, and we're not talking about the spirit of the sport, because maybe he wouldn't get a 9 out of 10 for that move. But in terms of his actual performance, the strategy of the fact he still led the race, had wonderful clean air, enjoyed that first stint brilliantly, and then still finished, 2.8 seconds off the win. It's a very lovely performance. And the fans gave him a 9 as well. Lewis Hamilton started the race in 7th, finished 7th. It has to be a 5 out of 10. It does. I think that was one of the most mediocre Hamilton performances that I've seen in a while. Nowhere in qualifying compared to his teammate. Nowhere in the race at any point, it felt like. I saw some people looking again into telemetry of Hamilton and into sort of the first stages of his stints, and it seems as though he's over-managing the tyres compared to Charles when you look at places where he's lifting off slightly compared to his teammate. And this was just one of those performances that will want to be forgotten about immediately, because being beaten by not just his teammate but Norris, of course, but then both the Mercedes as well. It was a completely and utterly baffling weekend for Hamilton, because you expect, okay, poor quali, but he comes back in the race, might finish 5 seconds behind Leclerc and where he started, but no, just nowhere.
He was nowhere. I've gone for a 5 as well. Really poor weekend for Hamilton. Has to be the worst that we've seen of him in a long time, and it's a shame to see because there was so much hype and expectation. Him going to Ferrari, had that brilliant sprint win, and you thought, okay, this is, Lewis Hamilton is going to bounce back after maybe the troubles that he had last year. But I've said this many times that I don't think Saudi is his best circuit, arguably maybe even one of his worst. To qualify behind Carlos Sainz was a headline that didn't want to happen. And then, to have no pace, you can look at it and go, oh, he's 7th. But, I kind of take it back to a certain Sergio Perez and how many times we gave him bad grades for finishing 30 seconds behind his teammate. And you have to do the same thing here. So it's a 5.
The fans gave Hamilton a 6. Charles Leclerc started the race in 4th, finished 3rd.
I've gone for a 9 out of 10 just to see Matt's reaction because it's a 10.
The way you just baited me. I was about to lose it.
Oh, that went even better than I thought. I think I've done that once and you didn't even fall for it. But no, it's a 10. It's got to be a 10. You cannot say that Charles Leclerc did not deliver everything from that Ferrari. It shouldn't be on the podium. It is slower than the Mercedes this year. Max is an anomaly, so it's hard to grade where he is. But slower than the McLarens. It was brilliant from Leclerc. More of what we expect from him. To put 30 seconds on your world champion, 7-time world champion and statistical GOAT teammate as well. Just a sensational drive. And as I said about Hamilton, this being one of his worst circuits, I feel like this is one of Charles Leclerc's best. He always performs well here.
Oh, we love to hear it from Tom Bellingham and it coming directly out of his vocal box. I've gone for a 10 out of 10 as well for Charles. Just perfection. An absolutely perfect weekend for Charles. Fourth, he says, is the best he could have done, and I firmly believe that when you're clear of your teammate by quite some margin. And then in the race, I thought we were in big trouble with Lando on mediums, coming out only 4 or 5 seconds, I think, behind Charles when Lando pitted. But he managed to hold on, finished 8 seconds off the win. You're then wondering, come on, Ferrari, unlock a little bit more quality performance for my boy Charles, and then we could be cooking. But it's still a 10. The fans gave him a 10 as well. Oscar Piastri, start the race in second, finish first. It is going to be 7 out of 10. Oscar Piastri, he bled the brakes off into turn 1. Horrible movement. I'm kidding. It's, of course, a 10 out of 10 for Oscar Piastri. Wow. Oscar Piastri this year, you are cooking, sir. He's delivering consistently at a level that is good enough to win a world championship, hands down. His teammate is faltering ever so slightly in moments in qualifying and putting himself on the back foot. And of course, his teammate did do a decent recovery drive, but Oscar hasn't had to do a recovery drive yet because he's putting the car where it belongs. And that's the important thing here. How will Oscar now deliver knowing he's the championship leader? And the thing is, right, we all go, oh, he's unflappable. He is so cool, so calm, so collected. We don't know. I think when you're against other fantastic drivers is that you don't know how they feel. And Oscar just seems to be bulletproof at the moment. And that is exactly how he should be for the rest of the year if he wants to win his first world title.
Yeah, I've gone for a 10 as well for Oscar Piastri. It's not the kind of dominant drive that he had last time, but made the move into turn 1, forceful, did to Max Verstappen what Max Verstappen would do to any other driver, of course. And in the race as well, didn't get flustered. I think other drivers, you maybe could have seen on the radio going, this is a joke of a penalty. He needs to give the position back. I'm losing time in the dirty air. How many times would we maybe have seen that? But Oscar just kind of did what he needed to do. And then even when he kind of came out the pits, that move he put on Hamilton was ballsy, to say the least, and crucial because, you don't want to get stuck behind someone throughout the middle sector where it's difficult to overtake. And then just won the race, takes the lead of the championship, and doesn't elaborate because he's Oscar Piastri and he's very chill.
Just a chill guy.
Brilliant. He is a chill guy. He's a very chill guy.
He really is. The fans, unsurprisingly, gave him a 10 out of 10 as well. Lando Norris started the race in 10th, finished 4th.
It's another difficult Lando grade, and I'm going for a 6 out of 10. The qualifying, he's crashed, finished 10th. He's driving the best car. He had the pace to win the Grand Prix, and he's not even on the podium, which is why it's a 6 for me. He spent far too long passing Lewis Hamilton, which would have got him the podium, to kind of get done by a DRS tactic twice. Kind of expected better racecraft from him. He had the pace to do incredibly well this weekend, and you may go, oh, he's got fastest lap and he had great pace and he's only finished 9 seconds behind his teammate, but he's driving the car that should have won the race and he had the pace to win the race and he's not on the podium. So, we've given people for, 5s for being average, but he's underperformed by 3 places. So, gone for a 6.
Okay, I'm not going to be as harsh. I've gone for a 7 out of 10 for Lando. I think it was, I'm grading it as he should have won. He had the pace to win. We see it in practice, but practice is not where you score points. He still finished 4th, 9 seconds off the lead, and that's why I've gone for a 7. It's just another one of those weekends, sadly for Lando, that a small error has cost him dearly. I think it was a very solid recovery drive from Lando. I think it was the correct decision to start on the hards, go long, and try and make the best of a bad situation. So I do believe that McLaren are quickest. I don't believe that they are as far ahead as some people like to put them. They are the quickest car. There is a beautiful opportunity to score 1-2s every weekend at the moment. So finishing 4th, sadly, has to be put down as a disappointment. But still a good recovery drive, I will say, as a positive side of things for Lando. So that's why it's a 7. The fans gave him a 7 as well. And that is it. Who is our P1? Charles Leclerc. Not even a moment's hesitation. What a driver, what a man, what a human. Just brilliant all round. Delivered every single moment of the weekend and scored a sensational P3. Thank you for coming.
Mine is Fernando Alonso. No, it's not. It's of course, it's Charles Leclerc. Yeah, brilliant from Charles. This is, I'd say it's more what I want to see for him, but, despite our kind of banter and everything, he deserves a better car to be fighting at the front because that's better for Formula One. He's one of those drivers that can race incredibly well as well. So you kind of want to see it, and the more people at the front, the better. So, that was a race where he kind of showed, look, I can win races and championships if you just give me the machinery. And unfortunately, at the moment, he does not have that.
He does not, but he will one day, and he'll win everything. That is the plan.
2047 is
2026. Shut it, Tommy. That is our year. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching to this driver ratings. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's always fun to drop some grades and see what you all think as well. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you very soon. Lots of love. Take care. Bye.
Bye.